here's the truth. There are two sexes, boys and girls, and for generations we've understood this, that they deserve their own sports teams, their own locker rooms, their own bathrooms. That's not discrimination, it is common sense. But here in Arlington, the trust between parents and schools is being broken.
That is Virginia Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earle-Sears speaking out against Arlington County Public Schools and its policy of allowing boys in girls' private spaces like bathrooms and locker rooms. The candidate for Virginia governor was then met with a disgusting display of racial bigotry from supporters of her opponent, Democrat Abigail Spanberger. One even holding up a sign that read, quote, "If trans can't share your bathroom, then blacks can't share my water fountain." As the polls tighten, it's getting ugly in Virginia. For her reaction, we welcome back to America Right Now the Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia and Republican candidate for governor, Winsome Earle-Sears. Governor Sears, thank you very much for being with us. After this incident, you posted on X, after this disgusting display of racism, that, quote, "You were not surprised and that this is what the tolerant left allows." Spanberger has distanced herself from this bigotry. Opening question to you, ma'am. What is wrong with these people to think that this kind of rhetoric could in any way be acceptable?
You know, it took my opponent, Abigail Spanberger, a long time to distance herself from this absolute racist statement. And here's the thing. The movement that you saw, and I call it a movement because the people, her people, the Democrats, had been gathered there for a whole hour, and they'd all been ginned up to do all of this stuff that you saw them doing, you know, just railing against all of the rest of us. And so that sign that said blacks are not welcome to their water fountain, that had been there for at least an hour, and none of the Democrats said anything to her. So we understand it's not just one person. This is how they feel. And so my opponent, Abigail Spanberger, should have said something long before this. But here's the thing. Abigail Spanberger and the extreme left of her party are dragging the Democrat Party down into the abyss.
You know, to be clear, you know, this policy in Arlington that you were talking about allowed a registered male sex offender who identified as a woman to allegedly expose himself for months to women and girls in 2 Arlington County high schools. Loudoun County Public Schools is also now refusing to protect women and girls in their private spaces. Governor Glenn Youngkin, who is supporting your candidacy, he won in part on education policy. This issue that you're talking about, the protecting girls' spaces, is do you believe that that is motivating voters this fall as education policy did for Youngkin 4 years ago?
So this is not even education policy. Education policy is you have to learn a set number of ideas within a certain number of time, and we're going to test you on those. And if you don't pass, we're going to help you so that you can have a hope in the future. We're talking about girls having to be forced to undress in front of biological males. This is what we're talking about. This is not education. This is somebody else's worldview, somebody else's ideology, and there's a school board that is pitting parents and their children against each other. This cannot be right, and that's why I'm standing up for parents. These girls, biological girls, they deserve privacy. So apparently one rights are better than the other rights. Trans rights are better than what? Everybody else's rights? This is not America. So that's why I stood up to say it has to be that we care. There is no love. There is no love in forcing a girl to undress.
Yeah, and we're also hearing that a lot of those protesters may have been compensated, sort of professional protesters, the people who came after you who were paid by organizations associated with the Democratic Party. The public polling, Governor, shows you behind, but closing the gap in recent days and starting to really pick up some momentum. Polling also shows that the Democratic Party brand is at its lowest level of support in decades. What is the message here that helps you close this gap further?
So actually, we've been closing the gap for a long time. Even my opponent is saying that this is a toss-up race, but the mainstream media is not believing her because they want her to win, and so they're trying to deflate my voters and stop my donors. But it's not going to work because we have the common sense ideas, and we know that the people want to keep their hard-earned taxes in their own pocket. They want to be safe and secure in their homes. They want their children to be safe and secure, and that's why we're not going to defund the police. We're not going to get rid of their qualified immunity, and this also includes Department of Corrections personnel. They want jobs to be created. We know how to do that. We've been doing that. We've created 15,000 new jobs. New businesses never existed. We're attracting businesses to our great Commonwealth. I don't need on-the-job training. I am ready to take command of our great Commonwealth on day one.
Governor, under Governor Youngkin, to your point, the state's economy has done very well. How does your economic plan contrast with that of Ms. Spanberger?
Well, all of her ideas is to get rid of your freedom on deciding whether you should join a union or not. And so she would force you to really take money out of your pocket. If you're going to get this job, you got to join a union. If you're going to keep the job, you're going to have to pay union dues. That's not liberty. That's not freedom. That's not what my father sought when he came here so many years ago. And so that's, for me, a liberty issue. And then she's going to put all these regulations back on businesses. You got to do this, you got to do that, and then you have to do this too. And I think what Democrats forget is that businesses have options. We have other states who are trying to lure our businesses away. And we've got to make sure we have a fertile environment here that keeps businesses here, want to expand, want to continue to grow, bring jobs, expand the tax base in that way. She doesn't know how to do any of this. She was never here as we were bringing jobs. She doesn't know, again, how to do this. I do.
Governor, exit question for you, real quick for me. Donald Trump received more votes from the black community nationally than any Republican presidential candidate in decades, and by an order of magnitude. You would be the first black woman governor of Virginia. What is the issue that you think, that you believe keeps black voters coming back to the Republican Party cycle after cycle?
Well, I think what black voters have seen is that under Republicans, everybody flourishes, not just them. I mean, again, their communities are safer. We have crime down 38% in some of our major cities that we're experiencing really bad, really horrendous crimes. And that's because we say, if you're a criminal, we're going to lock you up because you're a menace to your community. And black people want to be in safe communities the same as everybody else. Democrats' ideas about safety is to give you a social worker. And don't laugh, because I saw those bills come through that's exactly what they wanted. I used to run a men's prison ministry, so I understand helping people to get back on track. But first, we've got to take you out of society and help you.
It is one of the hottest races of 2025, and we're going to be following it closely as we head into the fall. Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earle-Sears of the Commonwealth of Virginia, candidate for governor there. Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you being with us today.
WinsomeSears.com. Thank you.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.